The following video is sponsored by Cygames. Try the game for free on Android, iOS or Steam. Download links are available in the video description. Hey guys, how is it going? I greet you to a new Shadowverse video. Today we have to do some serious talking about the latest expansion Wonderland Dreams and the infiltration of neutral cards into every class. While the overall feeling of the expansion and most of the cards is for myself definitely positive, there are also two very dominant forces right now in the game that are pushing out the creativity and long-term prospect of the game quite a bit. These two are of course the super strong Spawn of the Abyss and the so-called neutral package that is visible in multiple classes. Wonderland Dream was designed as an expansion that is trying to push decks that are featuring neutral cards to a certain extent. Fast forward to today and it does look like the plan was more than successful. Right now, if you play a game on Ranked, you have a very high chance to face a deck that is using the neutral theme in their build. It is even going so far that people are calling Neutralcraft the 8th class in the game. Is that a good thing? Well, not necessarily. When everyone is running the exact same cards, a card game is becoming boring, faster and easier than it used to be. I am very sure that it was not the intention of Cygames to create a meta that is divided into Spawn, Bloodcraft and Neutralcraft, but as it is right now, that is exactly what we are seeing happening for Shadowverse. Both these type of decks needs to be addressed hard sooner than later if the player base should have an enjoyable time until the next expansion is out. We are just at the beginning of the new set, but the problems are already visible from miles away. Wonderland Dreams has a wide variety of great cards and ideas in it. Even the neutral cards and support for the deck type are allowing for a wide range of different strategies, but nonetheless we are seeing more or less only a single build played in every deck that is featuring the neutral theme. So instead of trying out something fancy, the majority of people will of course go for the cards that are most efficient. This neutral package consists most of the time the Goblin for turn 1, followed by Unicorn Dancer Unica, Lyrial Celestial Archer and Actus Farrier for turn 2, Grimnir and the Goblin Leader for turn 3, and then finally the overshadowing Alice Wonderland Explorer on turn 4. You might see some variation to this, but that is the starting pool for most people in the game right now. Every card on its own is a strong contender in its point spot, but together they are able to snowball the early to mid game so hard that it is hard for your opponent to come back from it. That is especially true if you're going second, because if you would check out some statistic sites right now, it looks like that the difference between going first and second has increased once more. So depending on your matchup, you can easily see a 20% difference in your win rate, depending on your starting position. Perfect curve for a neutral player is normally leading into a huge tempo win that needs to be addressed as soon as possible if you want to have any chance of staying in the game. The first crucial card that you need to be aware of is the new Bronze Follower Goblin Leader. This small and rather unimposing looking creature would spawn an additional goblin at the end of each of your turns. That doesn't sound like much, but everyone who has faced the card knows what's up. If you're not able to have an answer for it instantly, the board is getting set up for some huge boosts over the next turns, leaving you behind in dust with no real chance of coming back. The reason for this snowball effect lays in the other two key cards for neutral decks that will create a huge amount of stats in no time. Of course we are talking about Actus Farrier and the Insane Alice. Let's rewind the game a bit to turn 2 where you were hopefully been able to play the Farrier. Without a spell, your opponent can rarely find an instant answer for the card on his second turn if you're going first. The Farrier stays on the board, you will drop either a Grimnir to protect the card or a Goblin Leader, which is a high value target as well. Because Alice is coming one turn later, your opponent is then sitting there with two very dangerous cards that both needs to be addressed as sap, while you can just go for the face happily. With Alice coming, every neutral follower both in your hand and on the board is getting buffed by an additional 1 attack and 1 defense. So in fact, the more neutral followers you have, the more power you will create. That leads to a stronger boost the stronger your current board already is, and can on the other hand result in turn 5 wins without a problem, especially if your opponent is not finding into the game. Combine that with the evolution power of the Actus Farrier, which is giving every neutral card that is already in play another additional boost by +1/+1, and you're looking at an early game that is not fun or interactive for anyone. The problem here is the combination of different cards that are already very strong on their own. Unica, Lyrial, Grimnir and so on were already pretty strong and played a lot before they were tuned even further through a neutral expansion. With some easy to achieve and fast buffs early in the game, it is getting out of control in no time, which leaves us with a very problematic metagame at the moment and for the foreseeable future. If you even go a step further and then combine it with a Bloodcraft class that is playing Baphomet into the spawn after the initial power wave, and you're looking at some huge undeniable swings. That is not very healthy for the game itself, so I hope we will see some changes to a few of the keycards and the power level that is getting tuned down. It is of course not the case that the neutral strategy is without flaws, but the amount of real counters to it is also not overwhelmingly huge on the other hand. First of all, keep in mind that most neutral decks are not running too much extra card draw on their decks, so while their early to mid game is insanely good, the end game is often looking a bit bare bone without additional draws later. That is your chance for a comeback, but for that you also need to be in good shape, so early removal and healing is key as well. Do not waste your spells and effects on stuff like a goblin, but instead go for the high value targets like Actus Feria or the Goblin Leader. You need to break that chain before they have a chance to get too much value out of those to stand a chance. Also at this point I can only again say how great the Goblin Breaker Tina right now is. In a meta full of neutral cards, she is dealing 5 damage as an evolved follower so much and will single-handedly take out 2 or 3 units on her own. That is by far your best counter to any neutral deck that is currently available, so I recommend to use her in most of the decks, especially those with otherwise too less of a counter play. All in all, that is not helping if your opponent is afterwards dropping Spawn of the Abyss for a one-turn kill, but that is a story for another video. For now, that should be enough for the neutral topic, and I for myself am very curious to see how Cygames will handle these two big topics in the next balance patch, because rest assured a balance patch will be coming very soon. With that I'm out. If you have enjoyed my little overview over the Neutralcraft problem, I would be very glad to see a like or free follow for my channel. Very much appreciated, and I wish you a wonderful day.